Imagine a world where everything we know falls apart in a matter of days. But not in the way you expect. The word apocalypse has always been loaded with gigantic weight. From the pages of religious texts to cinematic sets, it evokes images of destruction, chaos, and, of course, the end of humanity. But what if I told you that the apocalypse isn't exactly what you think? What if, in fact, it's already happening, silent, sneaky, and we just don't notice it? In this video, you will discover a concept of the apocalypse that will challenge everything you knew. What you will see today is not about explosions and zombies. It's not about nuclear wars or giant meteors crashing into the earth. I will help you see the signs that are all around us, but that most people ignore. Stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to reveal could completely change your outlook on the future. The traditional apocalypse, a modern myth? Since the dawn of humanity, civilizations have had their own visions about the end of the world. The Egyptians, the Mayans, the Vikings, each of these cultures portrayed the apocalypse in a unique way. And in many of these myths, destruction always comes from outside, be it a divine force or natural catastrophes. However, this type of narrative shaped what we believe to this day. Hollywood, in turn, reinforced this idea of a spectacular ending with breathtaking special effects. From comets on a collision course to global epidemics, the apocalypse is always portrayed as a sudden and impactful event. But think with me, hasn't this very dramatic concept made us lose sight of something much more subtle? Something that, as we watch these films, is happening right before our eyes? The silent apocalypse, the age of disconnection. Here the real revelation begins. We are in the midst of a colossal transformation. It's not about the earth being physically destroyed, but about our own disconnection as human beings. Never in history have we been so technologically connected, but at the same time, so isolated. Social networks, the internet, the speed of information, all of this should bring us closer together, right? But paradoxically, we are further apart than ever. Have you noticed how the world is becoming increasingly digital? Our interactions, our feelings, and even our friendships are becoming virtual. And while this happens, an internal apocalypse is taking over us. Our emotions are diluting, our sense of community is disappearing, and humanity as we know it is disintegrating. Imagine we are in an end-of-time scenario, but this end is not immediate or explosive. It is a gradual process, a slow deconstruction of the foundations that held us together. It is no longer about surviving natural disasters, but about surviving emotional detachment and growing indifference. Nature as a witness, signs we ignore. If we look at our planet, we will see that nature is already sending us clear signals that something is out of control. Climate change, devastating forest fires, disappearing species. These events are just warnings that the ecosystem is slowly collapsing, and we are all connected to this. But what most people don't realize is that these signs go far beyond the physical environment. They are reflections of a greater maladjustment, a kind of psychological apocalypse. While nature screams for help, our response is apathy. We are so focused on the now, on our immediate problems in our digital lives, that we forget what really matters. Our planet, our human bonds, and above all, our sense of purpose. The true apocalypse, the loss of purpose. We have reached an era where, despite having more access to information than ever, we are more lost than ever. People are struggling to find purpose in a world that moves too fast for us to keep up. In the past, the idea of the apocalypse was linked to the fear of losing everything. Today, we are losing something much deeper, the essence of what it means to be human. If the apocalypse is about destruction, it need not be about the physical collapse of the world. Maybe it's about the destruction of the sense of community, our empathy, and our bond with the earth. When humanity forgets its role on the planet and among themselves, the true apocalypse begins. And the scariest thing, we may already be living it, but we are too distracted to notice. The future. Is there still hope? Now you may be thinking, is it too late to change? The good news is that the future is not set in stone. Human history is full of moments when we change our course, often at the last minute. This video is not about fear, but about awakening. We need to reconnect with ourselves, with nature, and with others. The technological revolution has brought impressive advances, but it has also moved us away from some fundamental truths. The silent apocalypse only becomes inevitable if we continue on this path of indifference. Conclusion: the apocalypse as an opportunity for rebirth. If the word apocalypse scares you, it's because we've learned to fear it. But perhaps, in the end, the apocalypse is an opportunity for renewal. All destruction, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, carries within it the possibility of reconstruction. It is up to us to decide what we will do with this opportunity. Instead of fearing the end, maybe it's time to start over. We need to stop waiting for a catastrophic collapse and start acting on what really matters. Because, in the end, the apocalypse like you've never seen is the one you can avoid. So, if you made it this far, I invite you to reflect. What world do we want to rebuild together? The apocalypse and technology, the illusion of progress. We are living in the age of technological innovation. Smartphones, artificial intelligence, automation, all of these promise a more efficient and connected future. But what happens when we trust these innovations so much that we distance ourselves from ourselves? This may be the most dangerous apocalypse of all. The belief that technology will save us from any crisis. We are delegating so many responsibilities to technology that we are slowly forgetting essential skills. Artificial intelligence can write text, paint pictures, and even make important decisions. And while all this may seem like progress, are we forgetting something vital? Our own humanity. Excessive dependence on technology has created a society that is more anxious and disconnected from reality. We spend more time on social media than interacting in person. We live in a digital bubble where information is distorted, polarized, and manipulated to keep us trapped in cycles of fear and division. Wouldn't this also be a type of apocalypse? Imagine a scenario where technology fails. A simple global blackout, and our entire system collapses. Chaos would not only come from a lack of energy, but from our inability to deal with the world. Without these tools that have made us dependent, our relationships, our work, and even our very identities are increasingly intertwined with a system that can fail at any moment. What are we left with when this collapse occurs? The society of hurry, the apocalypse of the mind. Another crucial point of this silent apocalypse is the way we are living our lives. Modern society is in a constant state of rush. We are always running, always seeking more, never satisfied. This fast-paced lifestyle has caused a global mental health crisis. Anxiety, depression, and loneliness are at record levels, especially among young people. We are all searching for purpose and meaning in a world that, ironically, seems to offer us less of that with each passing day. The culture of comparison, exacerbated by social media, makes us feel insufficient, always in search of an unattainable ideal. The apocalypse, in this context, is the collapse of our mental peace. The most impressive thing is that, even though we are aware of this, many of us continue in this stress spiral, unable to stop. It seems like we are always too busy to slow down and reflect on what really matters. Maybe the apocalypse isn't just about the end of the physical world, but about the end of our emotional balance. We are destroying our own ability to live in the present. The personal apocalypse, the death of small things. There is also another type of apocalypse, more intimate and personal, that is rarely discussed. It's the apocalypse of small things, those simple moments that over time become rare and precious. Conversations at the dinner table, laughter without reason with friends, quality time with family. All of this is being eroded by the rush of the modern world. The loss of these small connections creates a void that we try to fill with distractions, whether through technology, rampant consumption, or the incessant search for success. But nothing replaces human warmth, the simplicity of being present in the now, without the need to fill every second with some stimulus. Have you ever stopped to think about when was the last time you completely switched off without feeling the need to check your cell phone? When was the last time you looked someone in the eye without being distracted by something else? These moments, which were once common, are becoming rarities. We are witnessing the apocalypse of genuine connections, and perhaps this is one of the greatest losses of our era. The fear of the end, an endless cycle. The fear of the apocalypse is etched deeply into the human psyche. Since the beginning of time, we have imagined different scenarios of destruction as a way of trying to prepare ourselves for what is to come. And it is precisely this fear that fuels an endless cycle of collective anxiety. The media, for example, feeds on tragedies. We are bombarded daily with news about disasters, conflicts, and crises. This creates an atmosphere of constant dread, as if the end is always lurking. But instead of preparing us, this overload of fear paralyzes us. We become numb to the idea of an imminent collapse, without knowing exactly how to act. But is the apocalypse we fear so much really inevitable? Or are we simply creating the conditions for it to happen by focusing so much on our fears and less on solutions? Awakening to a new reality, the apocalypse within. Here is a truth that few are willing to face. The most devastating apocalypse is not the one that destroys the outer world, but the one that destroys our inner world. A lack of purpose, emotional disconnection, and loneliness can be as destructive as any physical catastrophe. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Just as the concept of apocalypse in many ancient cultures can also mean revelation, perhaps we are on the verge of a great inner revelation, an opportunity to rethink our priorities, to reconnect with what really matters, and, above all, to be reborn as a more conscious and compassionate humanity. There is still time to avoid the true apocalypse, but change starts within each of us. The path to redemption, the apocalypse, as we discuss it here, is not the inevitable end. It is a wake-up call, a call to action. But to reverse this process, we must first accept the reality in which we live. Accept that we are disconnected, that fear, rush, technology, and the loss of small things have kept us away from what is essential. Can we change this? Undoubtedly. The first step is to be aware that the apocalypse is a state of mind as much as it is a physical possibility. We must begin to look at the world with new eyes and at ourselves with more compassion and patience. We need to slow down, reconnect, and above all, take action. Every small act of empathy, every moment of presence, every effort to create deeper and more meaningful bonds is a way to avoid the apocalypse we fear. It's not about saving the world from an imminent catastrophe, but about saving humanity from itself. Conclusion: the end or a new beginning. And now, at the end of this video, you realize that the apocalypse like you've never seen is not the one portrayed in films and books. It's much closer, much quieter, but also much more avoidable. We are at a turning point. The true apocalypse will be the one that leads us to destruction or renewal, and the choice is in our hands. The end of the world, as we imagine it, may never come, but the end of what it means to be human can happen if we don't pay attention. Now, more than ever, is the time to act. Don't wait for a Hollywood apocalypse. What really matters is already happening now. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching this video and taking the time to reflect on something so important. What we discussed today is not just about the future of the world, but about our future as human beings. And together, we can make a difference. If this content made you think differently, don't forget to leave yours like and subscribe to the channel. This helps me continue to bring content like this to you. And of course, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next videos. Here, you will always find themes that will challenge you to see the world with new eyes. And one more thing, share this video with friends and family. Let's spread this message and open discussions about what really matters. Every person you reach can be part of this change. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next video.